Hello, everyone. This is James Nussbaumer, and I am the author of this wonderful, wonderful book called The Master of Everything, a story of mankind in the world of illusion that we call life. It's on sale everywhere books are sold, published by Ozark Mountain Publishing Company. It's a deep read, a very deep read, but I've been told it's a page turner. It's deep, but it's very understandable. But I want to talk about tonight, really, why do we think that we see a meaningless world? You know, it is true that what you think about extends and makes your world. And this really perhaps is why we think that we see a meaningless world, or a world that's against us, and that our life seems to be empty or lonely, or things aren't going our way. What most people don't realize is that we have a special, mindful, and intrinsic right to see and manifest the world that we really want to live in. Yes, what that means is we have the ability, the miraculous powers within us to make the world that we really want to have. Yes. How can you actually go about forgiving the world that you don't want and going on to a world that you really do want? Those probably are some, questions that you might be thinking about. How can he do this? How can I put behind and forgive what I don't want? Forgive what I've already made that I don't like, and throw that behind and create a new world. How can I do that? When you are upset for whatever reason, even with, say, a meaningless world that you think is a meaningless world, it is necessary to correct, really, a major perceptual distortion that most of us have. And it's just been taught to us. It's ingrained in us. It's kind of what humanity lives with, that we got to kind of get a grip on. You believe that what upsets you is a world against you and trying to keep you captured or imprisoned, or a sad world, or a violent and an insane world. But if you're being honest with yourself, really and truthfully, you can acknowledge that this way of thinking, yes, these attributes were given to you by the world that you made. And actually, the world that you see that you don't like, you made that world. I know that's pretty hard to grasp for right now, but maybe think later on it deeply. But it's caused by how you think of the world. It's your world. It's kind of like, the old saying, the world is your oyster. It's your world, whether you want to accept it or not. So you have the power to make it into what you want it to be. Yes, what you want this world to be. It's your world. A Course in Miracles, which most of you know that I'm so fond of. A Course in Miracles states, lead not your little life in solitude with one illusion as your only friend. Let me repeat that again. Lead not your little life in solitude with one illusion as your only friend. What I'm trying to say, and what the Course is trying to say, and the way I interpret that is, in our earthly consciousness, the consciousness that we have in this world is what I'm trying to say. In our earthly consciousness, our thoughts of a meaningless world engenders fear. But meaninglessness is impossible. Nothing is meaninglessness, because nothing can exist without meaning. This world built of fear by your earthly consciousness is nothing but illusion. And it is where we simply cannot find faith in ourselves. Yes, when we are living in illusion, we're not going to find that faith within ourselves, because faith is not in illusion. Faith is in what you truly want. So that's what I mean by, we're not going to find faith in ourselves that way. But if you can go beyond the belief in a meaningless world, then your fears of the world do not exist either. In other words, your fears just disappear. They fade away if you don't see the world that way. If you don't see the world as fearful, if you get a grip on the world that it's your world, the fears start to fade away, because you have forgiven those meaningless thoughts in your mind, and thereby You live in a real world, a world that is yours. Yes, your world is the real world, and you're not bound by illusion. Here is when you begin tapping into your real consciousness. Let me share with you, that in a bookstore in Newport Richey, Florida, back in the mid 1990s, I accidentally bumped into a display and a book signing that was going on by Dr. Wayne W. Dyer. And the late Wayne W. Dyer, for those of you that know him, he is dead now. He died, and very, very young. I want to say 76 years old, and I was very much saddened to it. I thought he would be one of the guys that would be living on to, 90, 95, 100 years old, those kind of people. But when I ran into Dr. Dyer's books, which I've never known before, he had something to say about correcting your mind, and and it was deep, very deep, but I could get into it and I could see it. And my wife at the time, who I loved very much, and I shared everything with her, she was so dead against how I admired this man's writings. And it was so funny. It really was so funny, but I got a chance to talk this over with her, deeply and intimately with her, and she agreed, that she understood where I was coming from by appreciating what Dr. Dyer had to say. But my point is, by what I just said about running into the little discrepancy there with my wife at the time, who sadly to say is no longer my wife. We divorced because of problems that happened, and that's just the way of the world. But anyways, and I still love her dearly. But what had happened, though, at the time is, see, I'm saying that you too can learn, as I have, how to live beyond the illusion of your fears, where you can begin to manifest the life that you truly want. Let me quickly add that I have a system that I use to go on and live the life that I want to live. And if you want to see more about what I'm talking about, in the description box of this YouTube video, I have the link to my post that has a video of Dr. Wayne W. Dyer on this post. And it will lead you to anything else that you want to find. So take your time, go through my blog post that I will send you to, and check out that video on Dr. Dyer and what he has to say. And look around at the blog and check out any of the other links that something you may want to research or not, leading you to an abundant life. It's up to you. It's your life. It's your world. Remember, as we talked about, it's no one else's world. It's your world. Thanks for listening to me. I wish the best for you. God bless.